Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer courtesy of Jeremiah from Hop Butcher. This is, oh geez, why did I do that? Had it nice and chilled, but beautiful label. They do a little bit more esoteric, almost like Basquiat, kind of like, what do they call it, like a neo-impressionism kind of stuff. This one looks a little bit more, I mean, it's in that range, right? You guys are art geeks, let me know. New Oklahoma, I'm very curious why it's called that. Are the raspberries from Oklahoma? I'm not sure. Mosaic Belma American Pale Ale with raspberries. I've reviewed a lot of beers in my life. Well, you guys know that. You literally see the number of how many reviews. Raspberry Hazy IPA? No, there's no way. Hazy Pale Ale, whatever you want to call it. 5.75%. That is pale as can be. That is a light straw color. Complete opaque haziness on this guy. Wonderful fluffy head. Oh, yeah. So whatever Hop Butcher is doing, their mosaic is pretty dank. Their grid was very dank. This is also very dank. Granted, there's Belma in there, which Belma, I think it's like, whatever the flavor notes are. But I think generally, like, you know, if you go on like the hop producers website, like strawberry and stuff like that, nice. It's fruity too. So I actually don't really smell like the raspberry edition. It's a combination of orange, citrus, some like higher. Oh, I know. See, those higher notes are. Let me think. A little bit lemony, lemon zest, but those higher notes are more like thiol-y. Granted, Mosaic is maybe not known as a thiol-y kind of beer, hop, but like. It's definitely got a higher kind of like dank, pretty note. Combination of a citrus, tropical, a little bit of like pineapple, lemon zest, and that kind of like weedy, dank, herbaceous thing. Smells pretty tight. Smells pretty awesome. Cheers, honestly. Like, you know, for a pale ale, 5.75 smells pretty explosive out of the nose. Ooh, there you go. There's that little subtle raspberry flavor. That's fun because I think they were trying to like enforce some of those berry notes coming out of Belma Mosaic, which makes sense, and it really hits on the palate quite nicely. And it's really subtle. Like, how about this? If you see raspberry on the label, you think like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a purple beer. No, whatever they've done, they've. I'm curious now, like, how'd you add raspberries and not really affect the color too much? Because like, those raspberries are like, you know, they stain the hell out of your clothes, right? So. I think would hugely affect the color on the beer, but no, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's really good. This beer is rich for a 5.75 beer. I know I was talking about Grid, which was their pale ale, non-hazy, at around this ABV, and tastes like much lower. This tastes like a full strength IPA. I would have full blind guessed this was like 6.5, 7%. It drinks at least a full ABV above. On the palate, just like your nose. Lemony. I would have guessed some citrus. I would have guessed citra was in here, but instead, and lemon zest too. A little bit of sweetness too. A little bit of pineapple, right? And then there's a really wonderful, it's just like a, you know, it's like a snap of a flavor compound right in the middle that tastes like raspberries, and like a little bit of seed in there. Not as intense as some sour beers I've had where you're like crunching on the raspberries, where it's like jammy. Along with the seed character. Here it's like, oh, right there. Lingers a bit. And then you get that really nice kind of weed odor, whatever they have, that creamy mouthfeel. A little bit like hop dryness, but like not hop burn. Excuse me. Nothing too intense. That's tasty as hell. Excuse me, that's really tasty. Bright citrus, ripe berry, pleasant grass. See, I don't really get too much grass on this, which is nice. Ripe berry with the bright citrus. Perfect tasting notes. Fantastic. Yeah, citrusy, a little bit tropical. Push you a little bit on that like tart pineapple flavor. Really like luscious mouthfeel for a beer that's under 7%. Again, I would have guessed this beer full strength, full on hazy IPA, 7.7. I would have guessed 7.5, honestly. So we're talking about almost a full point to point five, 1 point to 1.5 more ABV than I'm tasting on this beer. Fantastic. That's a crusher. Yeah, I'm very much enjoying that. See, now I'm not thinking about it. I'm really getting it. See, that's what I love about some really complex beers, where it's like you can take a bigger gulp and sort of like just enjoy the hazy part of it, or the flavor compound about it. But then like, see, I'm not really tasting it as much anymore. So it's fun, right? I bet like 5 minutes later, I take another sip. I'm like, oh, there's a raspberry again. So that's really fun. I love when ingredients are not used. Well, I like both. I like when ingredients are used to punch you in the face, like, oh yeah, let's go all the way. And then sometimes it's nice to have like subtlety in beer. It's always fun to have the range. And this one sits. And also, no offense, I don't think many people would really want a like freaking raspberry tasting hazy IPA where it looked purple and it tastes like somebody just dumped a bunch of raspberry puree into your hazy IPA. I'm sure it also would be tasty. I'm sure like now you're blending that kind of like pastry sour and hazy IPA thing, whatever. But this one tastes great, well constructed, drinks way above its ABV. 5.75. That's tasty as hell. I like the ingenuity. It's just actually just a good beer. 96 plus, fantastic beer. Highly recommend it. Check it out. New Oklahoma. Let me know if you have any comments about the color or the art and all this stuff. But that's a fun one. Did not expect this beer to taste like that. I didn't expect it to be hazy. That's fine. But then I also expected it, like once I poured it, I was like, well, why isn't it purple? But right, like the yellow. Whatever you combine, like red, bright raspberry color with yellow would make orange. I guess the beer would be orange, red and yellow. I don't know. Who knows? But 96 plus. That is absolutely fantastic. Cheers later.